I don't like using the word dumb, so I'm going to demean this person as gracefully as I can. One of the most irrational, unintelligent, and ludicrous things I've ever heard came from someone that I respect very highly. My supervisor at work said, "There is no point in listening to new music. Music has already been solved." Me being the music snob I am, I did continue to argue with him for several minutes, but it did get me thinking on what the perfect album would look like. For me, a perfect album needs to be everything I love, all compiled into one track list. That would include unique in its genre, innovative, catchy, a great story, a concept album, intricate and lush with sound, low fidelity, iconic, meaningful, lyrically refined, a great introduction to music, experimental, and atmospheric. Probably the closest I've seen to a perfect album is OK Computer by Radiohead. I think that it hits all the marks that I pointed out earlier, except it doesn't tell a story, and it's also not very easy to introduce to people that are just starting to listen to music. Another album that I think comes within reaching distance of being a perfect album is Yankee Hotel Foxtrot by Wilco. This also doesn't tell a story, and it's also not that lo-fi. It's very well produced and it's very lush with its sound. Despite having some traits missing, I don't think either of those albums would benefit if they had those missing traits that I listed earlier. Writing an album is such a tightrope act, and I think that having more would be worse for these albums. For example, they would falter if they had a random deep cut in the middle of the album, a blatantly obvious concept, songs that sound homogenous, too much experimenting, filler, guitar riffs that sound like the musical equivalent of plain Cheerios, bad record packaging.
I put it back in wrong, but I'm like, I don't want to go through this.
Music has much more than people may think about it, and I was ignorant to argue with my supervisor about it. If he thinks that music is solved, then that's probably because he found his perfect album, and kudos to him for that. The perfect album cannot be globally defined by one person. Rather, we have to define it for ourselves by first finding it. Until I find my perfect album, I'm never going to be convinced that music has been solved. However, I do know what I need to look for to find the perfect album. I just need to find all of the elements I love about music tightly wrapped and perfectly handcrafted into this wonderful masterpiece. When will I find it? I have no idea. I guess I'll have to keep looking until I find it eventually. Oh, there it is.